Welcome to the WTIM Morning Show. I'm Avery Cooper, your host. Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville. You'll always do better with Landmark. People's Bank and Trust. They put people first. You can find the streams on TaylorvilleDailyNews.com, Facebook, or on YouTube at WTIM TV. I'm Avery Cooper, again, your host, alongside on the phone, Public Affairs Specialist Jack Myers with the Social Security Administration. Great to have you back.
Thanks, Avery. I appreciate you having me on.
So tell me, every month you come around and you like to highlight a certain feature of the month, per se, involving Social Security. What is April?
April is Financial Literacy Month. So, this is a good opportunity, I guess, for us to talk a little bit about Social Security, because for most people, Social Security is going to be a vital part of your financial plans. So, with April being Financial Literacy Month, it's probably a good time, if you haven't already done this, to take a more engaged approach to learning about your future Social Security benefits. So the best way to do that, Avery, is to go to our website at ssa.gov and create your own personal My Social Security account. So you can navigate straight there by going ssa.gov/my account, or just go to ssa.gov and look for My Social Security. Once you're there, you can get that account set up, and then you can start to look at things about your future benefits. So, for example, you can look at your Social Security statement, which is a financial planning tool that's going to give you a summary of estimated benefits you and your family could receive down the road at retirement age, but would also give you an idea of what you would qualify for if something happened and you became disabled and could no longer work. So, it gives you a little peace of mind there of what you have in terms of disability insurance. It also shows what your survivors could get if something happened to you and you passed away. So, you get a little bit of an idea, a little peace of mind there as to almost like what kind of life insurance you have. So that's a really good tool. Again, that's the Social Security statement, and it's available within the My Social Security account at ssa.gov.
And, you are looking at Financial Literacy Month, and when it comes to the way that Social Security um, communicates that information, I saw something where Social Security received a pretty high score for plain language. What does that mean, Jack?
Yeah. So, sometimes when you think about our programs and, different government programs, you can be a little bit, I don't know if the right word is overwhelmed or intimidated. Sometimes people just are concerned that the stuff's going to be complex and hard to understand. And, one of the things that I want to point out is that we recognize the importance of using plain language that is as easy as possible to understand. And while that's been a goal of ours for a long time, it's not just that, Avery. It's actually a requirement. Federal government agencies are required to put out communications in as plain a language as possible. And then there's a measurement of that. So there's something called the Center for Plain Language, and they do a report card every year. So for the 2022 report card, this Center for Plain Language evaluated 21 executive branch agencies of the government and graded each between an A plus or an F minus for both writing quality and organizational compliance. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Social Security received an A plus for organizational compliance and an A for writing quality. So, why do I bring that up here? Well, it's not because I want to brag on Social Security. It's because I think it fits well with our Financial Literacy Month topic, because sometimes if you're overwhelmed by something or you just don't think it's going to be very user friendly, you aren't as likely to even take a look at it. And so I want to mention this just so you know that once you get there to ssa.gov, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised by what you find. I think you're going to see that the language is written in a way that people who aren't insanely familiar with our programs can still understand what's going on and really take something away from it. So they had some specific quotes about our webpage, And one of them was, the web page is clear in its intended purpose to provide feedback readers seek, and the page has clear and concise language, and the reader is addressed directly. So, like I said, that's kind of a testament to the way the website is set up, the way the language is laid out. So with that, combined with the fact that we're in Financial Literacy Month, I think if you haven't already been there, now's a great time to go check it out. Go to ssa.gov, take a look, learn about our programs, conduct business with us while you're there. If you want, you can file a retirement application, Medicare application, spousal application, disability. All that stuff can be done from the website. And then, like we said earlier, you can create your own account, your own personal My Social Security account, where you can dive even deeper and take a look at your earnings record and get estimates of your future benefits and all that good stuff there at the ssa.gov website.
Speaking of plain language, I thought that was pretty darn good there, Jack. Yeah, I understand and following everything you're saying perfectly. Now, tell me a little bit more about Social Supplemental Security Income, or SSI. We've talked a little bit about that. I know we were mentioning that with people do with taxes, but moving on beyond that, what can SSI do for children with disabilities?
Yeah, that's a great thing to talk about, because at our Social Security offices, we administer both Social Security benefits and Supplemental Security Income, or SSI benefits. And, you know, there are several differences between the two programs.
Of course.
The Social Security benefits are based on the work you've done and the taxes you've paid into the system, and the benefits are paid from the trust funds that are built up by those taxes. And then the SSI benefits, the Supplemental Security Income, those are needs-based benefits. So they're paid by federal revenues, so federal tax dollars, but not Social Security tax dollars. And they're needs-based, which means that you don't have to have a work history in order to qualify for SSI, but you have to have limited income, limited assets in order to qualify. But specifically, what I wanted to mention today is the fact that the SSI program can offer benefits for children with disabilities. You know, typically, a disabled child isn't going to really qualify for a Social Security disability benefit because they don't have that work history yet. They don't have the tax base built up that they've paid in because they're just a child. But with the SSI program, they don't need to have worked and paid into anything in order to qualify for a disability benefit. So that's something that's available. Of course, there are some limitations and some qualifications. So for a child to qualify, they must meet the following medical criteria. They must have a medical condition or conditions that result in marked and severe functional limitations. What that really means is the condition must very seriously limit the child's activities. And then another criteria that they have to meet is that condition has to be expected to last for at least a year. So if it's a short-term condition and they're going to get better in the relatively short term, then it may not qualify. But if it's expected to last at least a year, then that would be potentially something that would qualify them for the SSI. Because it's a needs-based program, we have to look at income and assets. You know, that's going to affect SSI eligibility. And for a child who's under the age of 18 and lives at home, we're often going to have to look at the parental income as well. So that's going to be a factor. You know, we can make some allowances if there are other non-SSI eligible children in the home. Something to keep in mind, Avery, is if your child doesn't qualify for SSI because of your income as a parent, when they turn 18, they are no longer a child in the eyes of the law. Therefore, parental income no longer counts against them. So even if they still live in your household, your income wouldn't count against them anymore once they turn 18. So that's something to think about. And of course, if you want more info, we've got a lot on our website, ssa.gov/SSI Kids. Or again, just go to ssa.gov and look up information about SSI, and it'll lead you there.
That's Public Affairs Specialist with the Social Security Administration, Jack Myers, on the WTIM Morning Show. More from him after this short time out, right here on WTIM, your information station.
WTIM. Your information station, WTIM.
Welcome back to the WTIM Morning Show. I'm your host, Avery Cooper. Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville. You'll always do better with Landmark. And People's Bank and Trust, they put people first. I'm here with Public Affairs Specialist for the Social Security Administration, Jack Myers. Jack, I'm kind of sitting here and working a lot, spending a lot of time thinking about when can I just call it quits? By that, I mean, when can I retire? And obviously that's not until 65, maybe 67. But I want to know, I'm sitting here while I'm thinking about this. I'm like, okay, wait, how exactly do you determine at Social Security how much money I receive? So there's your question. How are Social Security payments, or I beg your pardon. Actually, I must admit I misread this question. So I'm just going to ask the question as proposed. How are Social Security payment dates determined?
Well, I think I can answer both of those questions,
Okay,
Avery.
go ahead. Let's take it wherever you want to go.
Yeah, because your first one was a good question. So let's start there. How do we calculate a benefit? All right. So as you're working and you're paying into Social Security, it all matters really, because when the time comes for you to collect a retirement benefit, what we do is we look back at your entire earnings history. We adjust all of the earlier years for inflation. We call that indexing. So we're basically trying to bring them up to current day dollars. And then once we've done that, we look again back at your whole earnings record and we select the 35 best years of work. They don't have to be consecutive. We just pick the 35 best years where you had the highest earnings after adjustment for inflation. And then we run that through our formula and calculate our benefit. So it really matters how many years. It's best if you can get at least 35 years under the system. That way you can really get the most out of your monthly Social Security benefit. So that's a little bit of how we do it in a nutshell. And of course, you can get your specific estimate through your My Social Security account at SSA.gov. But then in terms of when we pay the benefits, that's going to be kind of based on birthdays. For at least most of the people, it's going to be based on where your birthday falls in the month. And, it used to be that all Social Security checks were paid on the third day of the month. And for some people, that's still going to be the case. So, if you've been getting your benefits since before May 1st of 97, or if you also get SSI along with your Social Security, if you get help with this by the state paying for your Medicare premiums, those are all things or reasons why you would continue to get your Social Security payment on the third day of the month. But otherwise, if you don't fit into one of those criteria, you're going to get your payments on one of the Wednesdays. And it's either the second Wednesday, the third Wednesday, or the fourth Wednesday of the month. And the way we determine that is by the birthday of the number holder or wage earner that you're collecting benefits off of. So if you're collecting retirement benefits off your own record or disability benefits off your own record, it's going to be based on your birthday. If you're getting spousal benefits off of your spouse's record, or benefits as a minor child off of a retired or deceased parent's record, then that parent or spouse would be the wage earner. So it's going to be based off of their birthday. So that's kind of how you figure out whose birthday it's based off of. And then it's just basically, if that birthday that we're looking at falls between the 1st and 10th of the month, the payment date's going to be the second Wednesday. If it falls between the 11th and the 20th, the payment date's going to be the third Wednesday. And if it falls between the 21st and 31st, the payment's going to be the fourth Wednesday. So it's not always going to be the same date on the calendar. And that confuses people sometimes when they first start to collect benefits. They get their first check on, let's say, the second Wednesday of the month. And then when the next month rolls around, if the second Wednesday falls a little later in the month, they tend to get concerned when they don't get it the same date. But remember, the calendar day is going to change, and you're looking at the Wednesdays, the second, third, or fourth Wednesday of the month. We do have something on our website. So if you go to SSA.gov in our publications section, look for the calendar, just go in the pub section, type calendar in the filter box, and you'll get a calendar of when payments are due if you want something to stick on your fridge or somewhere where you can remember it a little easier.
Jack, you're just so quick on your feet. Even when I blub a little bit, you're just ready to go answer whatever question I come up with, and that's why I like you a lot. Jack, is there anything else that you can send to the folks as far as Financial Literacy Awareness Month and all of that stuff and taking care of your Social Security? Anything else? You got the floor for about a minute here.
Yeah, just kind of circle back to that real quick on the SSA.gov. One other thing you can do with that account when you're looking at estimates is you can create some custom scenarios. So if you want to see what would happen if you retired a few years earlier than 62, for example, you can put that in there in the My Social Security account in the retirement calculator, and it'll give you an updated estimate with what would happen if you retired at any age you want to pluck in there. So you can't start getting the benefits till 62 at the earliest, but at least you could see what stopping earning would do at whatever age you want to check.
Public Affairs Specialist Jack Myers. Thank you so much, Jack.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Avery.
WTIN